I love these kind of divine problems that are never solved.
Yeah.
We certainly have one of those.
Like when you decide to start working at a company, I think it's in part a logical decision, but it's also a very emotional decision in the sense that you can understand the specifics, but you want a feeling. Like, who are these people? What are they passionate about? What are some of the problems that they're looking to solve? What's their story? What's their history? And today I'm super excited because today Sam and I get to sit and talk about creativity in general and about Epidemic in particular. Sam, welcome to the show, I guess. If I could sing, I would try and break into an a cappella, an Englishman in New York, and try and switch it into an American in Sweden. But because I can't sing, I'm not going to do that. But it doesn't diminish the fact that you are an American in Sweden. How did that come to be? Like, how did you make the leap?
You know, it's a funny story, actually. I had just quit a job without another job. First time I'd ever done that in my entire career, and I was trying to figure out what to do next. There were some things that I knew I wanted. I wanted to work for a smaller company. I wanted to work for a company.
You previously worked at Amazon and a few like really large ones, right?
One day I was at the dentist. I was walking down the street in New York. Half my face is swollen up. I was on some really, really great drugs on the back. And then my phone rings. And there's this guy with a British accent. And he was talking about what, appeared to be a job, but it was a company I hadn't heard of in Sweden, which is a country I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about. And he said, look, just meet the founder. All I ask is meet the founder. I talked to my wife, she was up for it. And then we ended up coming out here. And so we got a chance to meet. And then it's this funny thing where it's just like, you realize that you have all, you have all these tick boxes that you tick when you're looking for a job. But at the end of the day, it's more emotional. It's really like falling in love. And I realized by the time my wife and I were on the plane back from Stockholm to New York, that I'd fall in love with the problem, fall in love with the opportunity, fall in love with the company, to the point where I would have felt really, really sad if it didn't work out. And that's when I kind of knew.
The beauty is it was 100% mutual.
Yeah. And then there's also but the culture is actually different, which is one of the reasons why I took this role, was that, is learning to lead in a culture that's kind of different than the one you grew up with is a really great leadership challenge. And so that's been super fun to figure out as well.
So business-wise, do you think that Swedes come across as mercenaries or more missionaries?
One of the great things about this culture, I mean, I've only worked at this company, so I can't overly generalize too, but it does, the people here really care about solving creative problems, or solving problems for artists, or solving problems for their internal stakeholders too. And that's kind of their primary goal. That's why they get out of bed every morning. And it's really refreshing. I love our customer base, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we serve creators. And so these are people that tell stories. Video is their medium. And what they're trying to do is, tell a story, and it could be anything from something that's really funny or a personal experience or something that's instructional, but they have a story to tell. And sound has traditionally been a really, really difficult problem to solve. To the extent that people often change their video to match the music or the sound effects. It should be the exact other way around too. Yeah. The sound should help tell their story. And so I also really like the part about how, a big part of our mission is that we work with recording artists. And we actually have found a way to provide them, a living. So that problem set and solution just was something that I fell in love with. I mean, for a company, relatively small company based in Sweden, we punch way above our weight in terms of kind of the impact of our work.
Yeah, but if those are some of the opportunities and some of the positives, let's go back to the problems that we're trying to solve for. What, in your words, are some of the frustrations? If I am a content creator, if I'm looking to soundtrack content, what are some of the things, what's some of the friction that doesn't add to the process?
You have your video, and now the first thing you need to do is, all right, I want to add, music and sound effects. And we have this massive library of music and sound effects. We have, over 250,000 kind of combined pieces of, music and sound effects in our library. But just to sit in front of a search box, like, what term do you type in? How do I actually get started? And so,
like a cold start problem.
Exactly. So, we call it discovery here. I mean, so it's like, how do you discover the right song, the right sound effects? And so we built a lot of ways beyond just having to type in search terms to actually, kind of get that done, including. We're doing a lot of stuff with AI now to be able to let you upload your video, and we'll use a kind of an LLM to analyze your video and come down with, okay, based on that, instead of searching through 50,000 songs, we think these 10 would be really great based on the vibe we detected in your video. The second is, often you'll find something that's almost right, but not quite right. A great example is length. And so, we've launched something called track edits, which actually lets you go in and use AI to just, you type in how many seconds you want the song to be. We will, smartly, use AI to kind of shorten that song to the perfect length, give you a bunch of different versions that you can audition, and take something that might have taken you an hour and a half of hair pulling and make it something you can probably do in 25 seconds. And so that's an example. And the last is, you talked about this a little bit before too, but take you out of your workflow. When you hear a creator talk about the editing process, they'll often talk about, they get in this zone. And so one of the things we've spent a lot of time is, instead of having a separate website, we're investing in bringing that entire experience and dropping it directly into to their workspace. And so we've created a series of plugins for DaVinci and Adobe and soon Final Cut, things like that too, so we can keep them in that flow. So those are the 3 big areas that we focus on solving problems for creators.
In your words, what does the future look like in terms of where are we heading? What's on the horizon?
So
have we solved everything already?
God,
the laugh is so honest.
So boring. No, I love these kind of divine problems that are never solved, and we certainly have one of those. I mean, it will never be too easy to soundtrack a video. It'll never take too little time. I mean, and so we always, there'll always be toil that we can kind of remove from that process too. And so there's always work to be done.
What's it like being a product manager here at Epidemic? Talk us through how it's set up, it's organized. What is it like being a product manager?
So, first of all, I think it's the greatest job in the entire world. I'm a little biased, but it is.
Yeah.
You should do it. But first of all, you have to be a problem solver. And I think that's, to be a great product manager at any company, you have to be a great problem solver.
Agreed.
Because we talked about invention earlier, that this is not a, we're
not custodian.
Exactly. And also we're not trying to take what another company is doing and just do it a little bit better. We are inventing, out of whole cloth, brand new solutions using, emerging technology to solve creator problems. And
with unique data sets.
Exactly. So you have to be an inventor.
So I completely agree with that, Sam. I would just add to that, I think that we're looking for people who are really ambitious as well. Because I don't want it to be lost on anyone that yes, we're a tight-knit company with hundreds of employees, but we reach billions of people every single day. We have 70% of the world's 300 largest YouTubers use our music on a daily basis. As a consequence, their distribution reaches billions of people, and we get to play a part in all of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's fascinating to be a product manager here, because on one hand, because of our scale, if you do something well that really resonates with the creators, you're going to have people with millions of followers tell people about how great this is. But it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You also have to kind of have a little thick skin and be a little humble too, because if you do something a little wrong, you're also going to hear about it from that same megaphone.
Okay, so Sam, Epidemic is not your first rodeo. You worked at Amazon, you worked at Grubhub, you worked at ClassPass, to mention a few, all in product roles. But as you try and gauge and understand different organizations and companies, what are some of the questions that you like to ask?
So I guess my favorite question is essentially, how is the company organized around product and technology? And there's a lot of different ways companies do that. Sometimes they're organized by function, where there's an engineering team and a product team and a design team, and they all kind of live in their own silos, and that's how they kind of do that. There's some products where that might be appropriate for. Sometimes you're organized by function. Sometimes you're organized by essentially mission, and that's really what I'm looking for. Is the companies that are organized by missions are the ones that tend to be really, really focused on the customer. So they identify with their mission first, and then their actual functional role too, which I think is really, really important.
So Sam, I'm going to call it quits here. I always thoroughly enjoy chatting with you, but I'm going to say no more. If you want to hear more from Sam or from me, I strongly suggest that you lean in more in terms of different roles that we have to offer. And I just want to extend a huge thank you to Sam for sharing with your knowledge, and encourage everyone to reach out to us. We're busy soundtracking the world. We're busy soundtracking the internet. And if you come join us, the world will feel your work.
How about that?
How about that?